Then we've got this human that believes it's separate and builds a whole life on the idea of separation and the idea of it being in relationship with life. And this is the world of suffering, like intense suffering. I'm not saying that suffering is the end of pain. Pain is part of being and experiencing, and pleasure is part of being and experiencing. But then there's this added on suffering dynamic, where the human believes it's separate and believes that it has pleasure and pains and it exists inside the body. And from that, it begins to get very bizarre ideas about life that are very out of line with life. And as it gets more and more out of line with life, it feels more and more uncomfortable. It's like the more you're in line with life, the more the human just flows and is comfortable. But as it grows this separate idea and this separate entity, it's sort of the body and everything begins to come out of line. The person begins to believe in all these things that aren't true, and it often becomes incredibly negative. It gets into a way of hate, of believing really hateful things, that it's somebody's fault, that it's my fault, that I'm guilty, that they're guilty, like that these things are really true. It's not that the human isn't meant to have imprints of these, but it's this belief in it being so true and real, that life can really hurt you, that you're born and that you die. All of these are mental constructs that we as humans make up and sell to each other. It's not true that you die. And it's not true all these negative things that you're told about death. We're told all these terrible stories about death. We're never taught to appreciate and respect death. Death is like a journey into the unknown. Death is actually what we're living with all the time. We're always in this space of unknown, of not knowing. And so how can we really appreciate this moment? How can we really appreciate the mystery of what is when we're so terrified of this event called death in the future? When death is really our friend. Not our friend as in like, let's all have mass suicide. I don't mean that. It could sound a disaster. I mean as in, death is love. Like when you die, I'm not saying that anyone should die prematurely, you've got to live out this life, but in the moment of death, you dissolve back into love, into who you are. Like death isn't this scary thing where you get judged and you might go to heaven or hell. Death is freedom from everything in this life. Death is love. Death is adventure. Death is mystery. Death is not knowing. And how can we really respect life if we're rejecting its opposite, which is death? And ultimately there is no death. There's the end of the particular person, so there's an end of something. But as we know in this life, when we look round, end never ends. There's always a rebirth into something else. It just transforms into something else. Imagine if we were born into a society that really respects life and death and talked about death positively. On the human level, we'd have such a different perspective on life. But because we're taught these separate entities, we're taught to be terrified of death because that means the end of us. That means the end of our life, the end of this, and it's a bad thing, and it's terrible suffering, and awful this and awful that. So what happens with this separate person is, it's not that there shouldn't be an imprint of a person. Like, these bodies have an imprint, a character of a person. So all of us are meant to have a character. So it's not that's the problem, it's the attachment to it. And from that deep attachment to it, all these weird and wonderful, they are wonderful as well, all these weird ideas appear about who you are and the meaning of your life and the purpose of your life and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And what you should be and what you shouldn't be. About being happy in these 80 years of life that you've got. You've got to be happy all the time. You've always got to get on with people. And you've got 80 years to live, and you've got to do all these things in these 80 years, be all these things, accomplish everything. And we pick up all types of ideas. A lot of people, lots of negative ideas. So I feel like what has to happen on the human level is reconditioning to an extent, to become more in line with the natural flow of being human. So there's a flow. The human steps more into flow on the human level, rather on resistance or hatred or fear or hiding. I'm not saying that any of us have to be the perfect person, but to be more in flow with yourself, to feel more like you're lining up with yourself on the human level. And as that happens, then there's this possibility to see something else, that none of that's who you are. If you're really suffering and really dense about your views and yourself and in lots of pain, then the seeking's too strong. There's too much attention on you and your problems. As that person relaxes and becomes more happy, becomes more balanced, then there's the seeing that you are way beyond that. Who you are is everything, is the divine, is mystery. And to become a balanced human, it's the end of seeing that the end of seeking for that love of who you are, for that love of presence in time, in things. So it's not the end of the person having goals or ambition or drive. It's the end of the person believing that any of those pleasures, any of life's pleasures, will give you what you're looking for. What you're always truly looking for is the I am presence, is that empty looking. So it's seeing that that's what you're looking for, that's everything you've always wanted. And then a balanced human being is someone that has goals, has ambition to do things, has a structure to its life, gets out of bed every day, does things, lives a life. So in Zen they would say, chops wood and builds a fire. Like, before enlightenment, chop wood and build the fire. After enlightenment, chop wood and build the fire. So it's like it's not like the end of seeking. Some people begin to take this message and they think, okay, it's the end of seeking. That means I just have to sit on the sofa and any goal or ambition I have is ego. That's not true. That's not true. I have lots of goals throughout the day. I have to wash the body. I have to go to the toilet. I have to get Khaleesi up, although normally she is like, come on, walk me now. So Khaleesi gets me up. We have to go for our hour-and-a-half walk every day. That's just one of the walks. I normally go for 2 walks with her. So I normally do about 2 hours of exercise a day, if we're not bike riding, but she might be too old now for bike riding. Oh, can you hear the name walk? Can you hear walk? Huh? So that's the first part of the day. And while I'm walking, for half of that walk, I have to do French class on my phone. Put it on speaker, and I have to learn my French because I have to speak French. I'm trying to think of French sentence to impress you with, but suddenly I go blank. Je voudrais une chambre pour 2 personnes pour 2 nuits avec douche, s'il vous plaît. See, here we go. I'm nearly there. I can say sentences. And I can begin to understand people. But okay, so we do 45 minutes of that while I'm walking. And then if I do my 45 minutes, I'm then allowed to listen to music for 45 minutes. That's my treat for the walk. Then we do our shopping while we're out, if we've got any shopping to do. Then we come home and then we do emails and reply to people. And then normally I have a project I'm working on. It's always changing, the project. Last 3 months of last year, I wrote a new script, a whole new script, 120-page script. So that was my project. That finished at Christmas. And this year, I had to do my French tax returns. At the end of last year, I had to do my English tax returns and the French tax returns, and that was all new, so that was quite hard. Then I had to re-update my website and booking system. So I do my project. And then normally in the afternoon and evening, not every day, but a few of the days, I then have sessions with people. If I don't have that, then I have other things that I have to do. Like I'm renovating my house. I do meditation with a friend. I have 2 lessons of French class a week. Socialize, sometimes going out for dinner. Then I have to do Khaleesi's afternoon walk as well. Cook, clean. Speak to family. I do travel as well. Organize retreats. Organize talks. Work out technical stuff like for YouTube and all these other things. There is so many things, and obviously I have to do a certain amount of watching TV a day. I do like watching things like on YouTube or Netflix, and information I like taking in. So all these things, so you can see, and then I like to sit, I like to do meditation. And I'm also like to do things slowly as well, even though it sounds like I can't possibly do things slowly because I have so much to do. So I'm not talking in any way, this is about sitting on the sofa and not doing things. And I emphasize that because I sometimes think that people get into this subject, they already are in a place of not doing things, and then they like it because it validates that, or they listen to this and then begin to get into this place of not doing things. Sometimes it's important to do that. It's important to like let go of like huge ambitions and focus more on yourself. But even when I was doing that really intensely for 3 years in Australia, I also redesigned all of the garden and taught myself to garden and taught myself to grow vegetables. I was growing things from seeds. So when I needed to take time off, I did, but then when that energy had gone, I then got back onto my projects. It's important as human to have projects and have things to work towards. This is what we do in life. That's not ego, that's life of a human. So we have these things we work towards bit by bit every day. Our suffering comes from the belief that once we arrive at the end of that project, we will get what we're looking for. Once we obtain that lover, once we grow the garden, once we write the book or whatever it is, we will arrive and we will get love. And that's what makes our seeking so desperate. And that's what creates all these bizarre ideas, because we're constantly pedaling to get somewhere. So that's not working towards things. If you have that energy, then it's always about moving on, getting. When you, like, I have no desire to complete the day. I'm so happy with my days. Like, I'm excited to wake up. I'm excited to do my things during the day. Sometimes I'm tired and I have emotions and I'm upset, but I never want it to go. I never want to get anywhere. I just have my little things like boop, 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 boop. There's never, I love what I do. I love what I'm doing. Even if I'm sad, which can arise, even if I have to go to bed because my heart hurts about something, or because somebody said something that upset me, or something happened that was upsetting, I love what I'm doing. I don't want to get out of this. When that seeking energy is really there and you believe that you're someone separate and that you're going to arrive home, you're always trying to get out of yourself. You're always trying to get somewhere. You're always wanting the time to go. I remember when I was younger, I used to look at it in units of time, like how to pass the day. Khaleesi? Okay. Okay, we'll take some questions now. Oh yeah, so we're back to Valentine. So, love in the flow is the love for what you're doing. It's like when you're making the tea, you're making the tea. When you're walking the dog, you're walking the dog, although I'm learning French simultaneously. But I'm totally involved in that. And then I don't exactly want the French learning to end, but I get my treat of the music at the end. But it's like, that's what I'm doing, even if it is painful. Like, learning French can be a little painful sometimes. It can also be really pleasurable. Like, you're sitting at the table, this is it, baby. You don't ever get to get anywhere in life. Even though as a human, we act as if we are going somewhere and we're like moving this earth to this earth and this bit to this bit and this bit over here and we never really get anywhere. This is it. This is it. And you go round and round in your little circles. I'm not trying to make out that I'm trying to some sort of saint, you know, like I don't like it when it rains and I have arguments with people, but that's what's happening. This is the life. This is what's happening. There is nowhere to go. There's only relative where to go. We work towards this. We build the house. We get a bigger house. We get a smaller house. We get a bigger house, smaller house, more money, less money. We do it like this. We do it like that. And the more that you live from that point, the more that you'll do things you love as well. And the more that the human will become more and more positive. Like I would say I'm a pretty positive person. You maybe think you know me because you do these talks and you see me. But if you look at me in my life, like if I'm reporting back to you, I'm pretty positive about what I'm reporting back. Like my mind is becoming more in line with life. Like I can be negative and I can see sad things sometimes. But the mind gets more and more balanced and sees more and more beauty and good things in life. When you're seeking and when you believe that you're going to get it, you're going to get love in the next person, in the next lover, in the next thing, when the mind is constantly thinking about that, it kind of feels victim to life. It feels like it's not got something and that thing has, and it's not fucking giving it to me. When's this person going to give it to me? When's she going to do this? When he did, and it kind of goes around in a victim state of lack. And there is no lack in this. Look, he is everything. He is presence. I'm not saying that life can't be tough sometimes, because obviously all of us are going to die. All bodies are going to disappear into the ground and transform into something else. But really, it's, well, from my perspective, it's a place of giving. Like life gives, I give. And I don't have too much attachment to what I want or what I get. So therefore, it's all a treat. It's like, woohoo! And I've noticed more and more after this seeing and this awakening, the mind gets more and more positive. And anything that's left that's still negative or out of line gets challenged. Like I still have thoughts, I think, and ideas that are out of line, that aren't so in line with the natural flow and the natural order of being human. Like I was conditioned for so many years to think out of line. But I feel like life keeps bringing up those issues, so those issues can be seen and can be let go of and be exposed. And more I can grow into myself. And then as you grow into yourself, you kind of get into your flow. Okay, let's see where the questions are. So love is what is. And if you want to really love someone, or if you want to know if you really love someone on the human level, and all of us can go in and out of all these different things, but like if the majority of the time this comes up is that when you pick your partner's growth every time over holding on to them and making them yours, that's when you know that you're in flow in a relationship. And sometimes those things can come out of balance, like something could be said or something could be done, but generally there's that sense that you want your partner to grow and to flourish and to love, and you pick that over anything, over having them, over keeping them, over anything.